Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to join us here in the atrium of City Hall. We all know that neighborhoods are the background of, the backbone of any community. The question is, how can we make our neighborhoods stronger? How can we help facilitate better communication? How can we make sure that people are well connected and safe? We have an exciting announcement along those lines this morning, which is that the city of Harrisburg will become the third city in the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to officially join the Nextdoor network. The only other two cities that are currently communicating via Nextdoor to their neighborhoods in Pennsylvania are Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. You're going to hear a lot about Nextdoor today. It's an amazing platform. Some things to keep in mind are that it is entirely free. It's a private social network site that's designed for neighbors to communicate to neighbors. And it was basically by the demand of those neighbors and the urging of those neighbors to create a platform for cities to also communicate back. Already in Harrisburg, this is nothing new. We have, as I learned this morning, over 1,200 residents signed up right now and actively using Nextdoor in the city of Harrisburg. To put that in perspective, that is more people than vote in a municipal election sometimes. And that's pretty incredible. There are 17 active neighborhoods already within the city, which means each of those 17 have more than 10 users. And we hope certainly after today's announcement, you're going to see people flocking to the website nextdoor.com to sign up. It's a very easy process. All you need to do is put in your address, and then you can verify that via phone or via postcard. And once you're signed in, communication with the neighbors in your immediate neighborhood or micro neighborhood is going to be much easier, and also communicating with the city and capital region water. We are joined today by a variety of people. We have the city's sort of community liaison, Ryan Grigsby, who, along with Jamie at the desk, is going to be communicating back and forth from the point of the city. We also have our community policing coordinator, Dave Botero. And we are joined by police and fire, all to say that police, fire, and the city will all have buy-in in this Nextdoor, and all will be sending messages to alert specific neighborhoods and residents as to what's going on from the city standpoint. There are over 60,000 neighborhoods in the United States currently using Nextdoor, which is really a pretty impressive statistic. And there are over 870 municipalities throughout the country that are currently using it, including borough police departments and fire departments. From the city standpoint, police, fire, and city communications are all going to be together as one. It's important that residents understand in order to use this free service, they've got to go to the website and they've got to sign up. And to tell you a little bit more about Nextdoor and its features, we're going to start off by hearing from Joseph Porcelli, who's a representative of Nextdoor, who's already walked us through a demo of what this could do this morning, and I think he's going to do the same for you now. Joseph.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Porcelli, and I'm the Senior City Strategist at Nextdoor, and I cover the Northeast. On behalf of the entire Nextdoor team, I want to thank Mayor Papenfuss, pronounce that correctly, Joyce Davis, Ryan Grigsby, Shannon Williams, and Andrew Bliss for championing Nextdoor across Harrisburg and making today's announcement possible. Now, as the mayor said, Nextdoor is not totally new to Harrisburg. Over the last couple of years, neighbors in 17 neighborhoods, including Nextdoor Old Uptown, Nextdoor Eggleton, and Nextdoor South Harrison, have adopted Nextdoor to communicate with each other in their neighborhoods about the things that matter most. And Harrisburg residents appreciate Nextdoor because before anyone can gain access to their private neighborhood social network, neighbors must first verify their address. And now with this added sense of security, neighbors feel comfortable talking about everyday things, from finding a babysitter to a handyman, to talking about more personal things like returning a lost pet, or more critical things like communicating about crime in their neighborhoods. And at the same time, the city of Harrisburg was looking for new and innovative ways to communicate with the city to make it safer and stronger. And starting today, with the click of a mouse, they'll be able to communicate important safety information with residents of Harrisburg. Now with this launch, as the mayor said, Harrisburg joins over 870 public agencies around the country that are using Nextdoor to communicate with their neighbors. And agencies use Nextdoor for a variety of reasons. For example, in Sacramento, they've used Nextdoor to reduce crime by over 24% in the last 2 years. In San Diego, they've increased neighborhood watch by 30%. Recently, the Houston Office of Emergency Management has been using Nextdoor to communicate with their residents how to stay safe and manage what's going on down there with the flooding. And in Nashville, the Nashville public school system actually became the first public school system in the country to use Nextdoor to communicate with neighbors, and their animal services unit actually became the first to communicate with neighbors about the services that they provide. And so again, I want to congratulate Mayor Papenfuss and the entire city for their progressive and proactive leadership. It's clear that they demonstrate the same commitment we do to returning the sense of community to the neighborhoods. And I'm going to turn it back to the mayor now. Okay. Or actually, you want me to show that demo, don't you, real quick?
I think you should show the demo.
So Ryan, and I'm going to just step up here so I can see. If you all focus on the screen here, if you just scroll up to the first post here, where it says intersection at 9th and Lake Mont flooded. So this is a neighbor posting about flooding in their neighborhood. You're looking at our demo site here. And as you can see, neighbors will thank each other for sharing information, and they can also have two-way conversations. And it just matters basically what's happening in their neighborhood or what the neighbor needs. And if you go down to the next post, please. Okay. So this neighbor here is looking for a babysitter recommendation. And so again, there are thanks to the post, and you can see members are helping each other find a babysitter, saying, hey, I know this person, they're great, we've used them for a number of years, and someone else may chime in and say, yeah, they're fantastic, absolutely work with them, right? So you get to kind of leverage the neighbors in your neighborhood to help make your lives better in the neighborhood where you live. And go down again, please. And let's go one more, and one more here, so stop right there. This would be an example of a public agency post. Now, as the mayor said earlier, or as we said earlier, Nextdoor is private to the neighbors that live in the neighborhood. Now, with Nextdoor for public agencies, which the city is going to start using today, the city can post information into the neighborhoods that the neighbors can see. The neighbors can thank them for their posts, and they can have discussions just the way they can in the neighborhood. It's important to note, though, that the city will not be able to see any information about the neighborhoods or any of the discussions they're having. They can only post into and interact with people who either thank or reply to their messages. So it maintains the privacy and the integrity of their neighborhood. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So with this type of proactive communication, the city can inform people about what's going on. So for example, the police department can let people know about a community meeting that's coming up or something that they're addressing. The fire department can talk about free services and trainings that they have. The water department can let people know about construction or hydrant flushing, or what do you call that?
What's that? The hydrant flushing.
Hydrant flushing, just making sure. Hydrant flushing that's going on in the neighborhood. So that is the demo there. And if there are more questions I can answer, Matt. Good, Mayor?
Yeah. So I think it's important to note that this complements the city's 311 system, which is already in service. If people want to call into the city with a question or a concern, they can simply just dial 311. But they could also choose to reply to the message, which I will be sending out this afternoon, and alert me to anything that's happening in their neighborhood. And that will then go into our ticketing system as part of our overall constituent services platform here at the city. So it's yet another means of communicating, and it's a way of communicating from the city's perspective in a very targeted way. If we have any issue that affects a sort of micro neighborhood or a small section of the city, we can target that message to the neighbors that are actively there. There is the ability to send both a standard message and an urgent message. So if you live in a neighborhood, you can sign up to get these urgent alerts on your phone, via text. It's really a phenomenal platform. We are fortunate today to have two neighbors that both use the system and can talk about it. We'll begin with Joe Lawback, who is a resident of Old Uptown. Joe has been using the Nextdoor platform for a while, and I thought it'd be helpful to give you a little sense of how Old Uptown is benefiting from Nextdoor.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. In addition to being a resident of Old Uptown, I'm also serving currently as the president of our Old Uptown Neighborhood Association. Old Uptown generally is a quadrant in the northwest corner of Midtown, from Peffer Street north to Maclay, and from the river east to 3rd Street. So that is our little patch of the world here in Harrisburg, and as the president of the Neighborhood Association, Nextdoor has been very instrumental in helping myself keep track of what's going on in the neighborhood, what neighbors are dealing with certain issues, whether it be we found cats and dogs, we've rescued them already. We have alerted neighbors to some criminal mischief that's been going on. Some of the posts I've been able to cut and paste and actually email them to David Boterio here at the Community Policing office to make the police force aware of trends that are happening in our neighborhood, and it's helped us to prevent crime and make our neighborhood safer. We've also been able to organize our neighborhood cleanups and other volunteer activities, post information about our social events that we run throughout the year. So it's just been a great tool to help us build a sense of community in Old Uptown. And one of the things I like about it is whenever a new neighbor moves into Old Uptown and joins Nextdoor, I get an alert and I'm able to welcome them immediately. And so neighbors really feel a sense of community when they first move in and they're being welcomed by their neighbors. So thank you very much.
Great. How long have you been using it?
Since 2011.
2011. So shows you how long and how helpful it's been in Harrisburg over the years. What's new today is really the city is joining the platform and the conversation. I think it's important to note that you don't need to know what neighborhood you live in the city. If you go to the website, you're simply going to type in your address. That's going to be the key. It will then tell you the neighborhood or place you in a neighborhood. If that neighborhood is not represented by an active, organized discussion group, then you can create and start your own, and that's really pretty exciting. We're also thrilled that Capital Region Water is going to take advantage of this platform. Shannon Williams, their executive director, has also been using it for years as a private resident of the city, and I think was quick to recognize how important it could be for the authority to be able to communicate with users throughout the city. So to say a few words about Capital Region Water's usage, which has already begun, here is Shannon Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. As was noted, I have been a member of Nextdoor Angleton, is what we call it, since 2011 as well. It's been a great way for us to communicate back and forth, to meet new neighbors, and really help to make our neighborhood one of the best in the city. From Capital Region Water's standpoint, we feel that as the stewards of the drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater systems, it's very, very important that we have an open line of communication with our customers and with our consumers. Traditionally, communication has been through bill stuffers, so that's once a month. The people that pay the bills get those notifications. However, it doesn't always get passed down to the folks that use the water or that are in the neighborhoods, those tenants. The landlord pays the bill, gets the bill, but the tenants themselves and the other neighbors don't know what's going on. So over the course of the last 2 years, we've been trying to find any and all ways to communicate with those residents, and we found that Nextdoor Angleton would be a great opportunity. As was mentioned, already 1,200 people on there. We're able to reach a lot of folks through this. We're very encouraged about the development and the increase in membership. We have, as the mayor mentioned, we started on Nextdoor about 3 weeks ago. We got a little jump on the city because we wanted to make sure that with our hydrant flushing program, we were able to target small areas because we're starting by Reservoir Park, working our way out. We send out a message in one monthly bill, but we may be fire hydrant flushing 3 months from then. So we find that Nextdoor Angleton is a great way for us to say, okay, Old Uptown, we're going to be hydrant flushing in your area today. If a neighbor isn't on Nextdoor, somebody says to them, hey, what's going on with these fire hydrants? Those that are in the know can help to spread the word even more. We've also been successful in fielding questions about the new billing systems as that went into effect recently this month, and we've had a lot of great engagement so far. We look forward to using this platform in a number of ways, also including when we're looking at doing water and sewer line replacements to let folks know what's going on and keep up to date on the process. So we're very excited to turn what was something for me was a very invaluable micro neighborhood tool to something that we can use at Capital Region Water across our entire customer base. So very pleased to have this, and thank you.
Okay, so to sum up, viewers at home, if they're watching this, they should sign up for Nextdoor.com. It is free and it is private. If you don't want the city to know about your information, the city won't know. It will only know if you choose to use that as a means of communicating to us. We feel that it is yet another communication strategy that's going to help strengthen our neighborhoods and make communication easier between the public and city government. We are proud to be only the third city in the Commonwealth to have an official city-sponsored Nextdoor account. And as you can see by the presence of police, fire, and Capital Region Water and neighborhood groups, this platform has the ability to truly be vibrant and really make Harrisburg a model for how good communication can help build communities. So thank you all for coming, and we will be happy to take questions, both technical and otherwise.
How does the privacy function work? So you enter your address, and then once your address is entered, no one else can enter that address? Or how do you know the person entering their address versus someone else's address?
That's a good question. We talked about that, but I'll let you answer it. Yep.
So there's a number of ways that neighbors can verify their address. The three most common ways are when you go to Nextdoor.com, you'll enter your address and your email address, and then you'll fill out the next screen. And then you'll be offered to verify. And the easiest way to do it, and the way that I recommend, is have Nextdoor, have our system call your cell phone or your home phone. And if the address that you enter matches your billing address, we let you in. You can also have a postcard sent to your home, and there's a number of other ways you can do it, depending on kind of what works best for you. But so for example, where I live in my neighborhood in Washington, D.C., I registered, but my wife also registered. So it isn't limited by address, you just have to prove that you live there. And that's done pretty much by your billing address.
If you use the postcard method, so that are you not able to use the system until you get...
That's correct. So you need to wait until you get the postcard. Every Nextdoor neighborhood is managed by founding members and leads. So for example, if my wife wanted to send the postcard, that would be a bad example. Let's say my neighbor registered as a lead, I would get notified like, hey, do you know this person? And if I know that person, I can choose to let them in and they don't have to wait.
So each of the neighborhoods has like a super user or like a guide?
Yeah, so let's say you were the first person to start your neighborhood where you live. And so you would start it and you would invite people that you know to join. And so the people that join, if you know them, you can just go ahead and verify them as long as they live within your neighborhood. And if there's someone you don't know, they would have to wait to go through the verification process. So it's started, managed, and kind of the neighbors are the ones who do the initial work to get it up and running. So. Not that I'm aware of.
Do you guys share information?
We do not. Absolutely not.
How do you, as a company, make money?
So at the moment, we are pre-revenue. We've raised quite a deal of money. We just actually announced another round of funding this spring of $110 million. Our plans down the road are to perhaps connect neighbors to local service providers, local businesses, and on-demand services like helping them find like a babysitter. And we're beginning to explore what that's going to look like.
What kind of time frame would that be like? And how would that, I know it's
Sure.
pre-talk. But like,
So we're beginning to experiment with that now, and I think it'll kind of develop over the course of this year, but it's not definitive yet.
Is safety monitored from within Nextdoor? I know you said neighbors don't have to allow law enforcement or officials to see what they have going on, but how is safety monitored from within the neighborhood?
Sure, so those same leads and founding members have the power to, or actually, let me take a step back. Members can flag any content that they feel for whatever reason isn't appropriate, and leads have the ability to remove content that they feel is inappropriate based on our guidelines, so the community kind of manages it. I would also say that neighbors can contact Nextdoor, our help center, help@nextdoor.com, and say, hey, this doesn't seem right, can you take a look? And our neighborhood operations team will address that. So one thing to note, for example, sex offenders can't get onto our platform, so whenever anyone registers, it goes against the National Sex Offender Registry, kind of cross-references that, so you could feel confident that they won't be on our platform.
Is it just sex offenders, or is it other people that?
Sex offenders are the ones we check.
Is there a threshold of the number of residents or percentage of residents you recommend for partners with the public agencies?
So in Harrisburg here, there are 17 launched neighborhoods, and off the top of my head, I think that's like 60 to 70% coverage of the whole city, so that's great. There have been instances where another municipality has launched where it's been less, but in that case, the municipality would say, hey, we're trying to get this up and running, and they could reach out to neighborhood champions to get kind of things a little more organized. It's not required, it just helps things get started better. So.
And some cities do different Nextdoor accounts, I guess, for that are put in by department, and Harrisburg's just going to be
At the moment, that's how they've chosen to start.
right. So I mean, can you sort of talk about why that's Harrisburg?
So I think it just has to do with a starting point that the city is comfortable with, and if they'd like to have different accounts, they could. I think that's just where they wanted to start. Anything else you want to say to that?
Well, Capital Region Water has its own account, so there are two accounts, and we decided to put police, fire, and city communications all within one, sort of one account, which is similar to how we've done our 311 system in all communications. We sort of have a centralized communication messaging concept. But certainly nothing stopping us from in the future to split the police department or split them off into their own accounts if they wanted to.
You said you're first message today.
Yes, so look for that. Yeah. Well, probably immediately following the press conference. I think it's ready to go. It's been written and ready to send, but we thought we'd announce it first. I wanted to also say I think it's important to note that you don't need a credit card or anything like that to register. This is a free service, so don't have to worry about any financial things or data breaches associated with something like that.
How do users get notifications? Is it by logging onto the platform, or do they receive an email message?
I think you can set up your account to notify you in different ways. Shannon was saying she gets a daily digest, right? So every day she gets, I guess, an accumulated digest. I like the idea that I can have urgent messages come to my phone, so I think you can tailor your account to whatever suits you best.
And Mayor, there is
Yes.
a mobile app as well. So the website mobile app is on your phone, or your email messages can come to the phone.
But you don't have to have a phone, so yeah.
Can the police department talk about how they plan to use it, and what sort of things would go on there?
Well, sure. Yeah, we can talk a little bit about generally things, or maybe Dave, you'd like to as well. Yep.
Good morning. The question which you asked was how would the police department use it? Off the top of my head, and I'm thinking some of the things as we sat through the meeting, we could expedite some of our messages that may need to go out in targeted areas. Say, for instance, we have something going on in a specific area. Maybe there's a bad crash or something that's going to divert traffic or something like that. We now have an instant way that we could shoot something out and notify that neighborhood or the people that would be affected in that surrounding area. One of the things that we like about it, when I say we, the police department, it encourages the community building, which is always good for us. The more building, the better conversations and the better services that we can provide to the community that affect more people as opposed to just individual peoples. One of the other advantages that I see off the top of our head is when we have a major incident happen in the city, one of the things that we end up having to do is what's called a neighborhood canvas. That's manned one, where an officer has to go out and knock on each individual door. That's going to extremely expedite that. We could reach out and hit neighborhoods or houses where maybe someone may not be home at that particular time. If they're getting it by a mobile app or some other email, it's a direct connect for us that we can ensure that we're hitting the neighborhoods that we need to. Those are just a few of them off the top of my head that I can think of.
Who will be logistically doing it? Is it going to be Dave that will be sending out the messages?
More than likely, it'll either be Dave, and I probably just volunteered him for something else, but more than likely Dave or Sergeant Oliveira, our public police information officer.
And remember, it works both ways, so it is also about the public having another means of communicating with the police and making that communication easier. I'm looking forward to the fact that, for instance, in June we have 6 public meetings scheduled in 6 different neighborhoods for the comprehensive plan. Look forward to putting announcements in each of the local neighborhoods for that, using it as a means of getting the word out for public meetings and other things along those lines. Dave, do you want to comment at all about how it might make your job easier as the community policing coordinator?
Sure. I too have a vision of using this platform to share information as it pertains to education and prevention. So we clearly have a communication with our neighborhood watch programs and quality of life meetings, so we can easily be in touch with those neighbors and the neighbors that are in adjacent neighborhoods so that they can be involved as well. We can also share information with respect to the schools. Should there be an incident or a lockdown, we can inform parents and family members. We can also continue to communicate with just the general public with respects to road closures, when there's events, should there be certain streets that are closed, just to keep everybody informed. As Captain Moody mentioned, to keep traffic moving as well. So it's not all about sharing glorified information about crime, but it's more about sharing preventative information of how we can continue to communicate and share information among neighbors. Neighbors will naturally speak with one another regarding suspicious activity and other incidents within their neighborhood, but we will be working with them very closely. We do it via text, phone calls, and emails as it is. This is just another avenue that we can stay in touch for those that are more savvy on their mobile phones or on the internet. So, I mean, quite honestly, the possibilities and the opportunities are pretty endless. But the idea is to just communicate effectively and efficiently with one another, and for those that are comfortable with that. I think one challenge that we have is how to get more people involved for those that aren't comfortable or aren't used to using that method of communication. So we want to be able to equally represent the entire city, all neighborhoods, all classes. So we would definitely need the media's help to get that information out. If they are broadcast TV watchers and internet news gatherers, we would need your help to get that information out to them, to get them up to speed with the Nextdoor platform.
A question for Mr. Pichelli. Nextdoor is a growth really exploded in the past year or so.
Yeah.
Can you attribute that to?
It's a great platform. There's a number of things that happened. As more people find out about Nextdoor, they get more excited about it. It's very useful. So when somebody moves into a new neighborhood, they can plug in, right? If someone is a new parent, they can find a babysitter. If you are looking to get involved in your community, it's a great tool to do that. And as more cities come on board and people find out that cities are proactively communicating with their neighbors, letting them know when there's going to be construction on their street or when there's a community meeting to talk about an incident, people find that very valuable. So it's meeting a need that hasn't yet been able to be met through other platforms, so people just really appreciate it. And it's just really useful. Like the other day, for example, my wife and I are expecting, so we put something out there. We got a great stroller for $50 that ordinarily would have been $500. So it's really helpful in those kinds of ways.
And it is very practical. The gift card thing, how many people do you have to invite to join?
So for the Amazon gift card, is that what you're referring to? So to get the Amazon gift card, you need to invite someone who creates a new neighborhood to join. So for example, there are some neighborhoods that don't yet have Nextdoor in Harrisburg, and if you invite someone to join and they start one of those neighborhoods, you will get an Amazon gift card. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know about the Amazon gift card promotion. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, let me just remind you, nextdoor.com. Obviously, you can start your own neighborhood. You don't have to be in Harrisburg. All viewers can sign up for Nextdoor. But this is going to be a great way within the city of Harrisburg for residents to have easier access and communication to the city and the capital region water. It'll interface seamlessly with our 311 system, and it's a part of trying to improve communication generally. Thank you all for coming, and look for my message if you're signed up on Nextdoor today.